Scales of War. Prologue. Chapter 2. I moved through the woods, each step breaking dry leaves and brittle twigs beneath my boots. I doubted Nilo was reckless enough to test me. Even the faintest grasp of my power should be more than enough to keep anyone in check. But if he was foolish enough to try anything, I'd be within earshot of the house and ready. Gradually, the woods began to thin, sunlight pressing through the canopy in scattered shafts. After 10 minutes of steady walking, the trees gave way to a wide field of tall, swaying grass. Waiting for me stood a dark-skinned man dressed in an immaculate black suit, his hands clasped behind his back, posture calm. Behind him, a line of SUV-style vehicles sat idle, engines silent. He opened his mouth to speak. "Are your friends going to join us?" I spoke before he could. He looked visibly confused, so I pointed with a thumb behind me. "The 6 people you have skulking in the forest behind me, my forest. They are stealthy, I admit, but I could still hear every step they took," I said, smiling at the man. He looked visibly annoyed at me this time, then lifted his hand and gave a signal to the soldiers. As one, all 6 soldiers exited the forest. They wore high-tech suits that shifted from forest camouflage, which made them almost invisible in the forest, to a clear white as they stepped into the open. Their helmets covered nearly everything, leaving only the mouth exposed. Even their weapons transformed, shifting from green to white through some kind of adaptive camouflage tech. "We are here to request the handover of the spy. We wish to do this in a consensual way with minimal casualties, although if you refuse us, we will use lethal force," the man in the suit said and gestured at the armed men. "And civilian casualties might occur." I gave a smile that a wolf would be proud of, making the small toy soldiers glance at each other for comfort. 5 years, and you have forgotten. 5 years, and you try to face me once again. You and your kin are nothing but insects to me," I said, narrowing my eyes at the man. I paid no attention to the armed men. Their rifles might as well have been carved from wood. Whether they pointed steel or sticks at me, the outcome would be no different. Many things have happened since the end of the Central African War. These guns. The man calmly gestured to the rifles of the soldiers. No longer shoot with lead. They are, for lack of a better word, plasma rifles, and are capable of shooting with plasma projectiles that reach 10,000 degrees Celsius up to 1,000 yards, which is well above the melting point of any known substance on Earth and longer distance than normal assault rifles. "You have been gone for many years, fiend. Give us the spy, or we will take him by force." This was the 2nd time he dared threaten me. I would not allow a third. My eyes ignited like burning embers as I stared him down. Then without warning, I tore the light from the world around us. Darkness swallowed everything. The only source of light in the black void were my ember eyes, and they began to rise, to swell as my true form emerged. To my surprise, the man in the suit didn't flinch. He stood firm, but the soldiers beside him weren't so composed. Their stances shifted, fingers tightened on their triggers. Fear rippled through them, and it was obvious. They had never faced anything like me, and their terror was exquisite. I savored every second of it. 5 years, and you have forgotten. 5 years, and you come to my home. 5 years, and you dare threaten me. I will make you remember why you waited. I will make you regret coming here, and I will show you exactly how threatening you puny mortals are. My voice deepened into a guttural echo, laced with ancient power and menace, like stone grinding against stone in a forgotten tomb. A beam of red light shot toward me. One of the soldiers' fear had gotten the better of him, and he'd fired his rifle by accident. The blast struck me in the chest. For an instant, the flash revealed my true form in that eerie red light. Scales of the blackest obsidian, massive wings, and a maw full of razor-sharp teeth ready to tear them apart. Then it was gone. My scales burned white-hot where the shot hit, dimming quickly to a glowing red until only the tips remained, smoldering with a low orange hue. All my threats and even my massive true form could not compare to the fear, the terror of realizing their weapons were useless. "General Solomon," one of the soldiers yelled and looked at the man in black, desperate for orders. My laughter came as a deep guttural rumble in my throat. Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday, christened on Tuesday, married on Wednesday, took ill on Thursday, grew worse on Friday, died on Saturday, buried on Sunday. I spoke the ancient nursery rhyme from centuries past. It finally made the man in the suit falter in his resolve, and I loved every moment of it. "I wonder if you will survive till Saturday." I grinned in the dark, my eyes pinning him to the spot like two blazing suns. "It appears we have gotten off on the wrong foot. I am General Solomon of the New Russia-Asia Alliance. The man that is in your home is a traitor, and we would request a handover." I released my hold on the dark shadows and let the light around us return in a flash. I was once again in front of the men in my human visage, the scales and teeth from before, lost in the dark. How the tune changes when your kin see what they truly are up against. You and that traitor are both defying the law by trespassing here. You all very well know the consequences of such a thing. Death and destruction that was far beyond their comprehension. Yes, I do. But it is not my choice to make. The traitor is in possession of some key data, and we cannot let him get this to the other side. And you wished to speak to me. It's the reason your men stayed at the outskirts of my lands. That way, I did not feel my family was in danger, and there would be less of a chance I would strike you all down. Well done. My compliment was genuine. Solomon had played his hand remarkably well until now. He was a great tactician, but tactics would do little when you did not have the means to hurt your enemy. It will be in everyone's best interests that the traitor be handed over freely without any bloodshed. He tried reaffirming his statement from before. Best interests. I huffed. And what if I defy you? I took a small, calm step toward him, grass crunching beneath my boot as I did, and narrowed my eyes at the general once again. My hands will be forced, and I will be charged to get a hold of the traitor and the data no matter the costs, and possibly endanger your family in the process. The earth rumbled at his thinly veiled threat to my family. I took another step, shortening the distance between us even further. Solomon stood as if rooted in place. Straight and brave, foolish and suicidal were probably better words for it. But his soldiers, with their small understanding of the threat before them, started fidgeting, stepping in the same place and looking nervously at each other. You forget yourself, Solomon. This form is merely a visage to those around me. I lifted my hand, showing the back of it. Black obsidian scales covered it as it turned into a dragon's claw. I might take this form, but you and I are no more alike than you and the ants beneath your boot. Do not mistake me sparing you as mercy. It is nothing more than curiosity. I wanted to offer you a way no one will end up hurt. Give him to me, and we will leave you alone, the same as we have done the last 5 years. You do not need to decide now. I will give you until midday tomorrow. Solomon turned on his heels and walked casually back to the SUVs. Engines hummed as the convoy pulled away, shrinking into the horizon. Only when the last vehicle vanished did I move, breaking into a run through the forest, branches clawing at my clothes. Solomon had mentioned stolen data, and I wanted to know exactly what that meant. I flung the door open, the sound of it echoing through the house. My wife looked up, taken aback by the abrupt entrance. "Where is he?" I asked, nearly growling at her. She understood immediately and pointed to the door leading to the backyard. I moved, my emotions roaring in my head. Nilo had brought danger to my home, and I would find out what exactly he had stolen. My eyes swept across the backyard. Olivia and Finn laughed on the swings, oblivious to the man that was now emerging from the lake, Nilo. In his hands, he cradled a black box. I moved. Fast. With quick, long strides, I had closed the distance between us in seconds. Nilo dropped the black metal box on the shore of the lake, mud splattering, and looked up just in time to see me put a hand on his chest and push. The force of my push sent him flying into the middle of the lake, landing with a big splash. In my periphery, I saw Finn and Olivia run to their mother, who had dropped everything once again and followed me outside. Nilo broke the surface with a big gasp, thrashing in the water once before he steadied himself. A few strong strokes carried him to where the water reached his hips. He stopped and got to his feet, dripping with water and tense with unease as he stared at me. "What the hell?" he yelled and held out his hand questionably, still not daring to move any closer. He knew how easily I could kill him, how I could kill them all. "You have brought danger to my home and family. I have half a mind to drag you straight to Solomon here and now," I growled in answer. "You spoke with General Solomon. What did he say?" The knowledge took Nilo by surprise as his eyes widened. "He said you had stolen data." I pointed at the mud-covered box that now lay at my feet. "He also told me you are a traitor, and he will be forced to come here to retrieve both the box and you." I growled at him, feeling a heat surge in my chest. "Solomon is as sadistic as they come." "How long did he give you?" Nilo asked, sighing deeply and his body sacking. Now it was my time to look surprised. His anger had completely evaporated by the mere mention of Solomon, and he now looked somewhat defeated. "Midday tomorrow," I answered, still not sure I trusted the sudden change in him. He nodded slowly in understanding, water dripping off him and into the lake, sending millions of ripples through the surface around him. "So, we have till tomorrow to figure something out. If not, hand me over. I have no ill will against your family and will not see them in harm's way because of me." He stepped through the shallows, never breaking eye contact until we stood face to face. Slowly, he raised his hand in the same gesture he had done the first time. But this time I took it, no doubt, no pause, and shook it. "I will speak with him again. Maybe we can find some middle ground." I told Nilo and let go of his hand. If he truly intended to give himself over freely, that was the least I could do. Once again, I watched him walk into the house, following my wife. This time, I watched him with a more contemplative look. There was something familiar about him, something I could not discern, and the sudden change in demeanor didn't sit right with me. Had I met the man before? Dinner passed in heavy silence. Nilo and I barely exchanged a word. I watched him through most of the evening, studying the set of his jaws, the quiet way he chewed, and the distant look in his eyes. I couldn't put my finger on exactly what, but something felt wrong about this entire situation. Nilo had begged me to help him this morning, to aid him in his cause to win the war. And now, if what he's been saying was the truth, the selfless act of giving himself up to Solomon would lose them the entire thing. But there was something more, hidden right in front of me. I could sense it. The familiarity about him made me eerie. It wasn't his face, the way he talked, or something similar. Just a strange feeling of recognition. and I didn't like it. Later, I found myself sitting at the foot of my bed, elbows on my knees, fingers pressing into my temples. I looked up at the soft click of the bedroom door and found my wife standing there, leaning lightly against the frame, her silhouette bathed in the low hallway light. A faint smile touched her lips, but her eyes searched mine, quiet and careful. Finn and Olivia are sleeping. Now tell me what is on your mind, Ancient One. She teased, shutting the door gently behind her. Is what I'm doing right? I have lived far longer than humanity has existed, and I am still uncertain of how to react. Should I help end this war by destroying the other side? And if so, how should I pick which side? How should I stop them? Destroying them all like I did so long ago? Or should I force them to surrender? Should I make both sides cease fire and risk an exponential increase in battles in the future? I could take over both sides and have them all answer to me. I could rule them with an iron fist. Or should I simply stay here, protecting only you, Finn, and Olivia? My wife crossed the room without a word and knelt in front of me. Gently but firmly, she took my hands from my temples. Her crystal blue eyes locked onto mine, grounding me in the moment. It didn't matter if I were human or not, she had always been able to see past the masks. How do I... Shush, she said, silencing me. She tilted her head slightly, and something about the gesture, so small, so familiar, had my heart stirring. She glanced at me in silence for a second longer before speaking again. You are caring, loving, and most of all, a good father and husband. I believe the path will be clear to you in due time. And when you do choose a path, I will stand by you all the way. If you ever falter or fall into despair, I will guide you back to the light. You and I, always and forever. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing thoughts. The words you and I, sending both jolts of love and affection through me, as well as memories of a heart-wrenching loss that never healed. What had I done to deserve someone like her, so loving and caring? Then I shall wait. Let both sides show their hands, and then decide on my action. You might be old, but I am indeed the wiser of us. She barely contained her mocking smile. I put my hand on her face and shoved her aside. She only laughed, walked to the window, and peered into the darkening forest outside. I watched her, unmoving from the bed. I do believe letting them show their hand is wise, but I think we should be careful moving ahead. Both sides seem to be willing to use you, and no doubt they have a small understanding of what you can do. Securing you as an ally for themselves, or at least an enemy of the opposing faction, would be a winning move. After all, you are the only one they know of who has that kind of power. Gone were the laughter. In its place, her voice carried something closer to resignation and worry. So let them show their hands, but still make it perfectly clear I am on nobody's side. Seems simple enough. I combed my fingers through my hair with a heavy sigh. The sound pulled her attention away from the dark forest. Glancing over her shoulder, our eyes met once again. Slowly, she stepped away from the window and crossed the room. Without a word, she sat beside me on the bed and gently took my hand in hers. All will be resolved in the end. You wait and see.